Hey everyone. So my name's Rodney Dotson. I'm a health practitioner in South Florida, and I'm the admin on your group, Detox Your Life or Holistic Healing, wherever you're coming from. And I am honored to have one of our special guest speakers, Derek. Derek, forgive me, I do not know how to pronounce your last name. What is your last name?
Vaughn.
Vaughn. Easy. It's like one syllable. Sorry about that.
It actually rhymes, Derek Sean Vaughn. So you'll never forget it now. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, I probably will forget, but you'll remind me, right?
Yeah.
You only have to remind me a few times, then bam, I got it. So awesome. So I am honored to have Derek here because he is an intuitive, a yoga instructor. He can, talk a little bit more about what he does, and then he knows a lot more about the chakras than I do, and I am still learning. I teach spirit classes every Friday. Derek goes to that in South Florida, Delray Beach. But there's just certain modalities that we're all kind of dabbling into. I feel like now more than ever, as we are in the information age, and people are super curious about enlightenment and spirituality and just making the world a better place, and our own experience as well. So one of them is chakras. So I'm super excited to have them. And then also how the oils, essential oils, you can use them as tools to raise your vibration when you're trying to manifest abundance. And if you guys aren't familiar with that or would like some more knowledge about the techniques, we have those every month too. They are completely free to go to. We talk all about manifesting our dreams and our goals. And then the essential oils can be used for that and aligning our chakras. So we're going to talk about that today. But why don't you give us a rundown, Derek? I know we're going to go into each chakra and everything, but maybe just like the basic premise of why chakras are important, and what are they? Because I think some people might be watching this somewhat understanding and others are completely oblivious. So if you can kind of give us some clarity.
Sure. So chakras are these wheels of life. They're these vortices that travel up the spine. And I like to use them as a model to understand why I do the things that I do and how to get myself back into balance when I'm frazzled or off track.
Hmm. Oh yeah, and so there's a different chakra, and I believe there's more than seven actually, that pertain to different personalities and different struggles in our experience that we have. I mean, that's what I've gathered.
Right.
But I'm sure obviously there's more to it. Cool. So that being said, let's just move forward and get right into it. So we're gonna share our screen here. Can you guys? Oh, here. You know what?
Oh, you're back. It was frozen on my end, but you're good now. Yay.
Okay. Can you see the
I
screen?
can see it. Yes.
Cool. So you guys, these are some of my favorites. A couple of these were actually free this past couple of days. I don't know if you're familiar with BOGO. Yeah, okay, we are. I see. Jessica's nodding. So BOGO was buy one, get like two free. So anyway, we got a lot of free things, a lot of emotional oils that I love. Breathe is in here. There's peace, serenity, balance. Anyway, so all these oils are going to be a part of the chakras in some way, and we're going to talk about that too. So happy to have you guys here. I'm honored and give tremendous gratitude. We should always give gratitude every day, and today I'm giving a lot of gratitude for Jessica and Derek for being with us today, and anyone who's watching this video, because I know that it's intrinsic to us developing our own spiritual path when we learn about these awesome modalities, just to make our experience that more joyful. Um, so why doTERRA? Before we get right into it, I like to explain the difference because I feel like people get, super excited somewhere in the middle of our presentations. And they're like, oh, I'm going to buy some oil at Walmart or Target or, Bed Bath and Beyond even. But you guys know probably by now that 95% of the oils on the market are actually contaminated, adulterated with pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, and fillers like turpentine or coconut oil. If you buy peppermint essential oil, you want 100% peppermint. Why does it have to be such a issue to get that purity, right? Well, unfortunately, in the United States and around the world, the essential oils industry is highly unregulated. It's much like the cannabis industry, where everyone's super excited about cannabis being legalized. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people for health issues. But it's unfortunate when someone does have a health issue and they're trying to heal themselves with essential oils or cannabis, and you can't find a decent quality. It actually might make it worse. So you have to make sure you're getting the highest quality, and doTERRA helps to fill in those gaps for sure. They have dominated the industry, and one of the major parts, the reasons for that is because they were voted by Forbes magazine for 3 consecutive years as one of the best top 100 small business employers in the world. And so for company ethics, we have that. And then also their charity that they've done around the world. I won't go into it, but you guys, I will invite you to research that. You'll be very, very pleased with what they're doing. Providing people with free, clean water, equal rights, and education around the world. And then, of course, the quality of oils, back to that. When you're using an oil, whether it's for meditation or, you know, there are people who go to like new age shops or crystal shops, and they might want to do like a spell or something. Personally, I'm not into that, but, you know, I honor anyone's, you know, theologies or spirituality and whatever they're trying to do. But whatever you're trying to do, whatever you're trying to achieve with these oils, it's not going to work very well if it's not real. So just consider that. What I mean, if you're meditating, you're trying to use frankincense, which they've used for hundreds of years for meditation, but your frankincense comes from a laboratory where it's completely, basically perfume, which means synthetic poison. It's not real. It's not going to have that effect. It's going to have the opposite effect. So hopefully that makes sense. Another thing is we're indigenously harvested. So we have actually partnered with over 50 nations around the world to ensure that all of the oils are from their natural environment. Because if you grow lavender in the state of Florida when it's supposed to be grown in France, do you really think it's going to render the same potent results, you know, as far as its medicinal properties? No. So it's the same thing as, you know, I probably, this analogy is probably overused in my classes, but if you took a polar bear from the Arctic and brought it to the state of Florida, it probably wouldn't last very long, or certainly wouldn't be very healthy. And it's the same way with plants. They are supposed to grow in a certain environment. So doTERRA, they do that. They make sure that all the plants are indigenously harvested so they have a better medicinal properties inside the oil. And then we're the only oil company in the world. I know this sounds crazy. We're the only oil company in the world that actually publishes our science papers. Why don't other oil companies do it? Maybe they're trying to hide something. So unfortunately, that is the case. Because doTERRA has risen the standards across the board, a lot of these popular essential oil companies have been outed as having third-party contamination. So I will just say, you guys, make sure that you always get 100% pure. doTERRA is beyond the USDA approved organic seal. So sometimes people look for that seal, but the USDA approved organic seal is regulated by the Department of Agriculture, which is a government agency, and that's pretty corrupt too. So it only requires that 95% of an oil be natural if it's organic, quote unquote organic. doTERRA is beyond organic seal. It's 100% every time. Every single liter undergoes multiple third-party testing. So anyway, I hope that that makes sense. But the truth of the matter is we just want to make sure that for the most part, our food and our natural medicines are pure and medicinal for ourselves and our family. So always amazing. Well, that's based on the sourcing. So I will tell you another really interesting fact. When you go to the market and you pick up an oil, do you really know where it came from? That's something a lot of us don't really ask, you know? We just don't have time. We have full-time jobs or kids or whatever, going to school. These questions, sometimes it takes a little research, but with doTERRA, they make everything totally transparent. So you can actually see the back of the bottle, there's a code. And on that code, you can look it up on online and see the exact chemical composition and medicinal properties and purity of that oil. With other oil companies, they don't have codes like that. But we actually skip the broker. A lot of these companies don't know where their oils came from. They buy the oils from a broker, and the broker gets it from farmers, but they pay the farmers terrible wages because there's a middleman that you got to pay. So doTERRA skips the middleman and goes straight to the farmer, and they work directly with the farmers. That's why they're able to provide them with amazing wages for them, their family, and the community. So remember, every time we pick up an oil and we purchase it, it's not just for us, it's for these people all over the world, mainly in third world countries. So 3 methods of use. Hey, why don't you tell me, Derek, like the 3 methods of use are, you know, internal, topical, and aromatherapy. Right. So why don't you tell us, how do you personally use them in aromatherapy for yourself? Like, you know, just in the diffuser or?
I use a diffuser, and I'm not gonna lie, part of me wants to go old school and do the whole thing where like I have the little teeny like pan and I have a candle underneath in the water, but I hear that it dilutes the nutrients that way, so I use a diffuser. Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm glad you
Yeah.
switched.
But with the diffuser, I do find that I end up using a lot more of my oils than I would like, and I run out faster. So I find myself going more topical, to be honest.
Okay, yeah, you can do that. You can also breathe right out of the bottle.
I love
So,
that. It's my favorite.
yeah, it's a good way to save money. I sometimes take my Serenity and I'll just breathe out of the bottle for about a couple minutes before I go to sleep, and you just
Right.
save a full bottle pretty much. But then I like to put it on my skin too. So, but I don't go to town on it. It's something I understand. You want to be somewhat frugal. So
Right.
that's a way to use it from aromatherapy. We do have 10 oils in all, specifically for aromatherapy, that psychiatrists and mental health therapists that are aligned with holistic modalities use in their practice to help wean people off of synthetics and regarding medicines and stuff. And then, to give them an option, an alternative to alleviate specific symptoms they may be having mentally or emotionally. Um, so you can use them in the diffuser or in your hands if you want to breathe them in. The whole point is to get the chemicals into your brain, and that's one really great way to do that. It takes 22 seconds to pass the blood-brain barrier after breathing it in through the nose or mouth, and it goes into the limbic system, which is in your brain, which regulates emotions. So love the emotional oils. Then there's internally, and we have oregano on the screen. That's a really powerful one for especially right now because a lot of people are concerned with pathogens and plagues and germs and stuff. So you can take oregano as a natural antibiotic. They're actually using it at many universities now and hospitals. And you can use oregano, but it's a 10-day top situation because it can be taxing on the liver. So we don't suggest you do it every single day and you follow proper dosage. It's not nearly as an issue if you were to take too much compared to an antibiotic, though, because antibiotics are far worse. But in oregano, we do say that 10 days, that's the limit that we suggest, that you would use it. So anyway, there's recipes on the groups that you guys can look at for safety protocol. We have oils that you can take internally, not just for your immune system and killing pathogens if you have a cold or cough or flu, but you can take them internally for upset stomach, for indigestion, acid reflux, anti-inflammation, killing parasites, the list is long, nausea. And then you have oils for topical use, which you can use for anti-aging, for acne, for psoriasis, for eczema, rosacea. Just make sure you follow proper protocol. When I say that again, just go to like the groups and you can find recipes. And if you don't know where they are, you can always ask the question to the admins or post it on the group. So those are the 3 ways you can use the oils. You can use doTERRA oils. I have to stress that because you cannot take other oils internally if they're not FDA approved. What is a chakra? I know you talked a little bit about this, Derek, but maybe you can elaborate.
Sure. So there are these major vortexes or energy centers in the body. And that might seem like, okay, and why does that matter? But I think our models matter. I think if we're out of whack, we can actually use our understanding of the chakras to understand how we're out of whack and how to get back in balance and in line. And each one of these chakras represents a different part of the human experience and spiritual experience too.
Okay, perfect. Do you guys mind if I take a little photo of our screen here? Okay, just to put it on the group. That's a powerful photo. Yeah, absolutely. So, if you find that you're struggling with any of these issues that we're about to speak of, you might find that chakra in particular, you're going to have to work on, right? That could be through meditation, using the essential oils that are rollers specific for chakras, crystals, whatever you feel like you need to do, whatever you feel comfortable doing based on your spirituality. But that's what you can do to align that particular chakra. So this is the one I have to say that I'm glad Derek is here for sure, because these can get a little confusing. So Derek, why don't you go from the red all the way down to the purple? And if you could go by color, I'm looking at red, orange, yellow, green, light blue, dark blue, and purple.
Sure. So the red one, Muladhara chakra or the root chakra, deals with your ability to survive, It deals with having your needs met, feeling grounded and centered. It deals with earthly matters, and it's located at the bottom, the base of the spine. So, for instance, if you're somebody whose family has a lot of like lack of mentality, if you've had a hard time getting your needs met, root chakra. If you're very airy fairy, or like me, if you're in school or if you've ever been a scholar, you can get stuck in your head and just kind of like spiral around for hours, if not days or weeks. Root chakra work can bring you back into your body. So it's the first, but I think it's one of the most important that isn't to be disregarded by any means. The second one is, I can't really see on my screen for some reason, but it's the orange chakra, so Swadhisthana, and that deals with fluidity. It deals with identity, sexuality, flow, creativity, and expression. And typically with this chakra, we deal with shame and pleasure. And this can be important because, for instance, people who are sexually abused, sometimes when they're older, they end up acting out in a way that maybe at first feels liberating to them, like they're reclaiming their body, but then feels excessive. And having an understanding of the chakras can help you understand that pattern, and I can give you some exercises and some affirmations to challenge those patterns if you wish. I also tend to enjoy the sweeter things in life. I have weekends or weeks where like I can't stop eating chocolate, and I realize, oh well, yeah, sure, it's addictive, but also sacral plexus. This one's Svanistana. This deals with sweetness, right? I'm craving sweetness because my life doesn't feel very sweet in that moment. So bringing that chakra into balance can be an important part of that. Maybe you've been sexually repressed, or you're not creative, and you're very, very logical and pragmatic to a point where you miss the whole point. Working with this chakra, bringing fluidity into your life can help rectify that.
Wow.
The next one is yellow, Manipura, or which translates to like jewel or gem city. And we can call this the solar plexus chakra. This deals with like power and ambition. So think like industrialization, right? But you could also think the sun. I think it also deals with joy. And I think people underestimate how much this chakra has to deal with joy. So let's say you're going through depression, which we've all been through to some extent. What's happening there, and this isn't the only thing that's happening, but one of the things that's happening is the chakra is too slow, it's out of balance. And doing things like getting sunlight or working out or doing cardio can help get you out of a funk. And I'm not speaking about like clinical depression, I'm speaking about just being in a funk. This also deals with your right to be heard, your right to be expressed, and your right to lead, to be seen. So, for instance, I grew up and I was very, very shy. I could never get in front of a room of people. I could never speak publicly. And that's a solar plexus chakra issue right there. Next one is one of my favorites, Anahata chakra. For the record, this language, it's Sanskrit. I learned all this through my yoga trainings, and that's where this knowledge comes from. It comes from like ancient, like yogic texts. It comes from the Tantra tradition, and they're scattered in other texts called the Upanishads. But that's less important. Just so you know why I'm saying things in a different language. So this green chakra, it means unhurt, unhit, unstruck. And I guess it invites us to love as if we've never really loved before, as if we've never been hurt. That doesn't mean to love without conditions or knowledge or boundaries. That's dangerous, right? In yoga, we do this thing where we they're called back bends, or we'll stand up straight, we'll look behind us and bend, exposing the chest until our hands touch the ground, right? The idea here is, sure, the heart opens, but our feet are still planted to the earth. We still protect ourselves. We still have boundaries. So matters of the heart, how do I say this? So let's say you go through a breakup, right? And are disappointed and heartbroken, as they say. Really, it's the first three chakras that are out of whack, but we feel this at the heart center. We feel this at Anahata. That's what tells us and shows us the work.
Mm.
That's because it's the great integrator of the three lower chakras and the three higher chakras. So the next one would be, I believe it's blue, Vishuddha. And
Can I say one thing? Is that kind of reminds me of like, you know, and I always use this as an example when I'm teaching people about, you know, teaching classes and sharing oils and stuff, is that you have to build a house on a sturdy foundation. If you just, you know, build it up from the bottom with popsicle sticks, it's going to fall apart. So it's kind of like those chakras at the bottom, a lot of people don't seem to pay attention to. They're always looking for enlightenment specifically of the last chakra at the end. But those at the bottom are extremely important. Am I wrong in saying that? Or
you're absolutely correct. And I'm so
oh.
grateful to see it this way. One of our like leading like experts in this, Anandita Judith, talks about how when she first tried writing her books on the chakras, it was hard because there's a lot of Western bias, where a lot of practitioners thought they had to like close the bottom three chakras to get to the top and transcend. And no, that's the first three is where your work lies. No, they're so important. So I'm so happy you said that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Next one is Vishuddha, which deals with like purification and filter. We really know this as a chakra of communication and creativity. So, you know, when I was younger, I had the hardest time, not just like public speaking, but like talking. Like I didn't learn how to talk until way too late. And I was actually in speech therapy because I was so shy.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, you could say this is like a solar plexus issue, right? But it's also a throat issue. I didn't know how to vocalize my truth. I didn't know how to communicate with others around us.
Mm.
So if we're like spewing out judgment, if we're constantly speaking negativity, this chakra can be out of balance. It might be important to find exercises which exist to balance the chakra out. And the idea is that we're not just balancing the chakra out, but there's usually an emotional, mental, and psychological component behind it too. So I know that this seems very metaphysical, but there's a lot of different lenses you can use to, I guess, justify your work and to make more sense of it. Let's say you're like me and, you know, I remember there's a moment in graduate school where I couldn't stop talking. It was really bad. I was like, why can't I shut up? Oh no. And it's because teaching college and studying and writing and talking all the time stimulated this chakra to where I was out of balance. So things like silence were really good for me.
I have that problem too.
But it makes sense. Not that I see it, but I'm saying like you're such a good polished communicator and you're in an industry where you have to talk a lot. I can only imagine that it's hard to turn off like when you get home and once the work is done.
Yeah.
I experience it all the time.
Good points. Yeah.
The next one, Ajna, it's the third eye chakra.
Can you give us the color in case anyone's lost track? Which color?
Yeah, it kind of looks like blue on the screen, but it's really like violet.
Okay, so it's the one in the middle of the light blue and the purple.
Right.
Okay.
It's usually like a violet purple color. And this deals with clarity and intuition. Not just like metaphysical intuition, but also just downright perception, right?
Mm.
I think sometimes in the global north, especially now, we have a hard relationship with the truth. And I won't get too much into that, but what are you willing to see? What are you not willing to see? It's funny because maybe a situation or conflict plays out with you and your group of friends. And it's funny how most people will see it in a similar way, but one person's like, no, this was completely different. Maybe they're the one who's right, who knows, but sometimes they're the one that's wrong. And it just shows like their ability to see may be blocked.
That's so true.
Right. It also deals with things like delusion, but that's a whole different story. So yeah, it's not as important because it isn't just intuition in a metaphysical sense, but it's also insight, foresight, and perception.
Right.
The one to the way right, it's purple and white, and doTERRA is smart to do that because if it were just white, you couldn't see it. But in yogic texts, it's described as a thousand petal lotus. It's white, svadhisthana. So maybe you've seen pictures of like angels or saints with these like golden or white crowns. That's what this is. How cool is that? That we can see remnants of this thinking in different kinds of cultures and theologies, right? And
Right.
this is your like connection to divinity. This is about faith.
Mm. That's so important because I think when I was younger, I didn't really understand that. I always thought like, blind faith type concept. But for me, I've realized that having faith in something that isn't necessarily provable by the means of science, which is very limited, um, you know, there's things that happen, like you start to see signs and like miracles everywhere. It's just incredible when you have faith in something that's beyond, our understanding. So, yeah, big one. Next. Derek, can you hear me? Okay, so Derek, maybe your reception. Would you, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, good. So,
It
what are
only
we
happened
on?
for some reason. I don't know why. But we were on the last chakra.
I think I think what I said was so powerful that it just messed the internet up for just like a minute.
I think so too. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
Okay, next.
So Svadhisthana, it deals with faith. And, that's actually something that I deal with, even as a professional intuitive. I feel like if you're all faith all the time, then maybe you're not being honest with yourself because this is a practice of faith. Let's be real. And things happen in our life that sometimes are unfair, consistent, and destabilize us, take us out of our faith. So somebody who has a deficient crown chakra, maybe they're overly materialistic and shallow, right? They're looking for something bigger in life through material culture, right? Somebody who's excessive might be a cult leader, right? We see conspiracy theories, or not conspiracy theories, but really like cults.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes, yeah. Therapy cults, which sometimes, I know some people say some of these aren't cults and some are helpful, and some are actually cults and dangerous.
Yeah.
And I'll let you decide which one you think is which. But this is an example of a perhaps excessive crown chakra where you're so up here that everything else is blocked. You're not in your body and you can't see what's right in front of you.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Very good.
We could see this also with maybe like, what's the word, like wandering ascetics, people who are like nomadic and homeless and have a strong connection to divinity. Or we could also see this with, I guess you could say like renunciates. That's the word, renunciate. Somebody who renounces material reality and society to be a religious or spiritual practitioner.
You know what I've realized? Sometimes we look at things in such polarities that, I mean, I've met people where I'm like, wow, this person is like pretty intelligent, but they seem to lack like almost intuition or something, or just different things. And I think that there's just so much like fragmentation of our personalities and strengths and I don't want to say weaknesses, but things that we could improve upon. And I feel like chakras are a big part of that. You know what I mean? So you might be strong in this chakra, and this one you got to work on a little bit more. But what I love in the beauty in all this is that we all have an opportunity to improve. I'm on a journey just like anyone else, and I always tell people in my classes, I'm like, I am not, suggesting that I am Buddha or anything like that. I am on a journey just like anyone else. We cannot put that much expectations on one person, because no matter if they're teaching or what, because will just be disappointed. They're going to end up saying something that doesn't seem very spiritual. And then you're just like, oh, none of this is true, you know? So really everyone's on this journey. Everyone's imperfect, so to speak. And so let's just, you know, improve upon what we're working with. So thank you so much for that.
I would also like to emphasize, and
Yeah,
I know we got to be careful with time, but
you're fine.
Analytic says that these chakras, we can look at it like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We can look at it as like a roadmap into the self, starting from our basic needs to our need to express and create, our need to be seen, our need to feel, to speak, and then our need into the higher chakras to deal with divinity and intuition and spirituality. I think that's one really helpful way to look at it too.
Yeah, thank you so much. Mhm.
I know a lot of like practitioners who go into new age shops like every day on their lunch break, so the person running the shop can like run a pendulum over their body so they can be perfect all the time. And that isn't the point, because these things ebb and flow all day, every day. The goal isn't perfect. The goal is, I think, to use it as a roadmap. And I think that's a healthy and more fulfilling approach.
Yeah, and being okay that, you know, we all have work to do. So I will mention also, Derek, I love the way you explain things. Derek is also I mentioned that you were, and if there's anything you'd like to add, an intuitive that does oracle cards and you do yoga, is there anything else that you would like to add?
I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. I'm a professional intuitive and I teach yoga and I also do Reiki, but I do this so that I can help people see past their blind spots. The idea is that with some intuitive guidance and with some practices that we can get out of our blind spots, connect to intuitive wisdom and create some, you know, growth in our life.
Yeah, a lot of times it's easier when you have someone to kind of guide you along the way. So if anyone has any questions, definitely contact Derek. He's helped me out a lot with sessions and stuff. So, okay, root chakras. I'll take this one. Excessive characteristics, and then there's deficient characteristics. So if you're excessive in this particular chakra, it's not good. Think about it this way, you guys. If you have an organ that's working overtime, that's not good. Like the thyroid, there is such a thing as hypoactive thyroid and hyperactive thyroid and all that. So it's the same thing with chakras, or if you're eating too much of a vitamin, you know what I mean? Like if you're eating too much vitamin B, that would be an issue. So there is such a thing as too much of a good thing. So this is what that means. Excessive characteristics, excessive spending, resistance to change, slow movements, heaviness, overeating, hoarding, materialistic, workaholic. That sounds like a job I had years ago where I worked at a watch shop off Worth Avenue. We sold like $200,000 watches. I personally was just doing it to get through college, I think, but I didn't really like simulate very well, but everyone there was very materialistic and very into their job. No judgment on them at all, but I just don't think that we had very different intentions about everything. It was just interesting to see them. I think a lot of them were very excessive in their root chakra. Deficient characteristics, disconnected, underweight, restlessness, spaciness, fixation, flightiness, fear, and anxiety. So, you know, yeah, what you say there?
It sounds like your friends might have been deficient.
Oh, okay. So they were deficient. Because when I saw materialistic, that's what I was like. Maybe it's a little bit of both. I don't know.
You know what? I'm happy this came up because I'm looking at these and I'm thinking, but you know what? Mine is not in balance. But I have a little bit of both. So I think that's normal. So if you're looking at this video and you find, but wait, which one am I? I have both. That's okay.
Well, I'll also mention like people may have severe anxiety. And if they're really into chakras and stuff, they would probably go straight to, oh, my root chakra needs help. But maybe they have toxic overload. Maybe they're malnourished in something, or they have severe PTSD trauma that's unresolved. So I think it's a combination of a lot of different things. That's why I always go back to truly holistic living requires us focusing on all triads of health, which is mind, body, and soul. So there may be different variations to what we're experiencing, whether our chakras out of alignment or not, but you kind of just put the puzzle together. So supporting oils, root chakra. These are oils that you guys want to use. You can make a roller ball. If you're not familiar with roller balls, this is what they look like. Well, I don't think I have any on me. Well,
Be right back.
Kind of looks like this. Oh, you have one, Jessica? Thank you. So you can make your own roller balls. You just take a bunch of oils for a specific recipe that were designed to alleviate a specific, or to have a certain purpose or alleviate a certain symptom. And these are the oils that you can actually put into a roller ball if you want to put them all in there, or you can just use them individually. But balance oil is really great. It's for centering. That's an emotional oil that when you can't eat, because I think it has like cedarwood in there, basil.
Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. You want to show us?
I bought a rollerball down.
Oh, thank you. Maybe put it closer to the camera. Is that beautiful? Which one is that?
As
Beautiful, right? Oh, I love it. I have that. Cool. Thank you, Jessica. So yeah, as Jessica just showed us, you can take the cap off and you just roll it on your skin. That's what we would consider like a tool that we can use. So before you meditate and you work on that chakra, you would use that tool, that roller ball, and that's what you would use. So we have frankincense, self-connection. Frankincense has been used for hundreds of years for meditation. Myrrh, that's also an oil that they have in ancient scriptures. Connect to the earth with myrrh. Patchouli, grounding. Vetiver is calming and centering. So you can all use all those for chakras. They're also amazing for the body when you're trying to heal illnesses or prevent illnesses. And next, you want to take this one there?
Sure, my screen's cracked, so I can't see all of it, but deficient characteristics are excessive boundaries, emotional numbness, rigid behavior, fear of sexuality, fear of change, lack of passion, poor social skills, boredom, and excessive emotional dependency, excessive attachments, sexual addictions, spaciness, flightiness, oversensitive, poor boundaries, and mood swings. So I'm happy that it brings it up because this chakra deals a lot with relationships. We think the heart deals with it, but really it's the sacral chakra. It's how we relate to other people. So if we have poor boundaries, or if we find that our partners end up being toxic or abusive, that's on them, not on us. But it can also help us look at the way we can practice our boundaries and put this chakra into balance. So that we can be looking at the tools to get out of those situations and identify them earlier on, right? So this also deals with fluidity. So for me, there are moments in my life where I feel like, why am I not going anywhere? And that's like an issue with flow. That's a sacral chakra issue right there.
Yeah, and if anyone ever feels that way, definitely contact us so we can bring you into our manifesting abundance class, because that really, I feel like, gets people out of the mud. Perfect, thank you. So that would be sacral chakra. Supporting oils, go for it, Derek. Okay, hopefully you can see it.
I can, yeah.
Okay.
Bergamot, cinnamon, which I totally see, juniper berry, melaleuca, patchouli, wild orange. You could also use wild orange for solar plexus, and you could also use patchouli and melaleuca for grounding, or the root chakra. So how I see it, sacral, the color is orange. Another helpful way to approach it is like, what's orange? Or what follows the element of water, which is what this is about. All great recommendations.
Perfect, thank you. So that would be I wonder what that would smell like if we put that into a roller ball. Looks like it would smell amazing. Solar plexus, excessive characteristics versus deficient characteristics. Dominating, controlling. Now this is excessive. Dominating, controlling, arrogant, competitive, hyperactive, egotistical, stubborn, and workaholic. I honestly, you guys, like I told you, I've never, claimed to be like a spiritual guru. I believe that all of our spirits are enlightened, so I'm not trying to throw myself under the bus or, give myself less credit. But I do think that this one makes sense to me. Me personally, I think I have struggled with excessive solar plexus, to some extent, nothing like crazy or anything, but a lot of that makes sense. Deficient characteristics, fears, being alone, victim mentality, lacks confidence, poor digestion, feels disliked, passivity, lack of energy, jealous. I don't feel like I have any of that, but I definitely feel like I have the other one. Um,
I definitely lean deficient. I mean, I'm more balanced these days, but my work was with deficient characteristics. So, like, I love to sleep. I could sleep as a full-time job. I wouldn't be a job that pays me, but I totally can. Feeling disliked. I mean, I'm sure we've all like been to like middle school and we've all heard like nobody likes me. That's where it comes from as a deficient characteristic. And I have to be careful because if I'm drinking like I do like to drink wine every now and then, but if I have a little too much, I can tell because I think, oh, nobody likes me. Oh, I'm being so weird. And that's my cue to put the wine away because the alcohol is affecting my um
That's one thing that's very interesting about like maybe people who do cannabis oil for medicinal properties, or maybe they'll have a glass of wine or whatever. It sometimes leaves us very vulnerable and makes, I would say when it's excessive, it's an issue, of course. I mean, we don't want to promote alcoholism or anything, but, to have a little bit of that inebriation, it can kind of bring out the good and sometimes the very, I don't want to say bad, but like some of our shortcomings or whatever if we have the wisdom to see it, like I guess you just did, like, so,
or things that have been healed that we've already dealt through, but they're still like lifelong motifs that show up.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, good point. So, I will say that the excessive characteristics of solar plexus, you look at that, and although it's negative, it can be very much of an advantage if you're working in a like a rat race society. But at the same time, it's spiritually debilitating. So you really don't want to be those characteristics in excess, especially. You want to find a balance. There's nothing wrong with being confident. But then there's such a thing as being arrogant and hurting people's feelings. And then also there's nothing wrong with sleep, but we don't want to sleep more than 8 hours a day. So, okay. Supporting oils next. Wait, Derek, is this you? Or, oh no, it's me. Is it me? Yeah. So a citrus bliss, that's good for creativity. Our whole month this month, you guys, we taught classes at Pause Cafe in Delray Beach, and it was all about creative energy. So basically, with it's the solar plexus and the sacral chakra too, is that when you raise those frequencies, you really channel into that creative energy. And when your mind becomes the steward for the great intuition, you step into your true power and become the influencer the world's been waiting for. So basically, we're all creative force. We find our gifts and we contribute to society. And so I would use citrus bliss and passion oil to help get the creative juices flowing so you can connect better with the higher mind. So coriander, self-loyalty, oregano, non-attachment, cedarwood, community, ginger, empowerment, lime, zest for life. Good ones.
I love cedarwood so much. Oh,
What'd you say?
I love cedarwood so much.
Yeah, it's a good one. I like to mix it with other ones.
So now we're at the heart chakra or anahata chakra, and I think this is significant. I've had yoga teachers say that, and I believe Anna and Judith would say this, that right now we're at the societal age of the solar plexus. And it's in the shadow of that, which means we're dealing with a lot of corruption, a lot of power over, power under, a lot of like excessive and aggressive characteristics. And we're moving into the heart chakra as a society, which deals with like green movements, right? Because the color green, it deals with environmentalism and compassion and coalition building and teamwork. So deficient characteristics are lack of empathy, fear of intimacy, being antisocial, being critical, being lonely, where excessive characteristics are jealousy, being a martyr, pleasing everyone. I only see the word boundaries because the screen's cracked. What does that say, Rodney?
Jessica, what'd you say? Sorry.
It says poor boundaries.
Poor boundaries.
Poor boundaries. And the other one, something on others. I don't know what that says.
Focus.
Focusing on others. Thank you. Yeah. So these are great examples. And when our heart gets broken, it's not so much that our heart is broken, but it's a barometer that something in those lower three chakras have been destabilized and have been triggered as a result. And we feel this here. So somebody who is not vulnerable, not empathetic, deficient. And if we're not careful, we're all capable of that. Somebody who's overly sensitive or has poor boundaries, excessive.
Mm.
We evolve in both at some point in our life.
Good point. Cool.
So for the heart chakra, geranium, melaleuca, peppermint. I love peppermint. And peppermint's actually really perfect for this because one of the addictions with the heart chakra is actually like inhalants. So things like smoking or like, not that like, I'm not saying you can be addicted to like weed, but some people have like a social addiction to weed or like a like ritualistic addiction to it. But any kind of inhalant addiction is.
Oh, you just came out. Can you hear us, Derek? I don't think. Yeah, Jessica, can you hear Derek?
No, I can't hear him.
Hey, Derek, we can't hear you. Try again.
Oh, now. Okay.
Okay, there you are.
Peppermint.
Yeah.
So we have thyme for forgiving, lemon for cleansing, and elevation for joyfulness.
Perfect. I love it. By the way, elevation is one of my favorite scents, and so is peppermint. And I use geranium sometimes too. I definitely use thyme to cook, and melaleuca is amazing for the skin. I also wanted to mention that with my heart chakra, I went to 2 different Reiki masters that don't even know each other. And they both said that my heart chakra had blocks or something. Every chakra they said was aligning perfectly. They said it went right with their hands, which made me feel good. I'm like, okay, that's good. I'm not struggling too much to the other ones. They said the heart chakra was, and that could like make it difficult with me in romance. And that's interesting they say that because I don't know. I think I have the potential to be better at that, but I guess I just, it's a block that I have. And it's just so funny that those 2 people, they could have said any chakra and they said those 2 specifically. So there's something very powerful about Reiki. If you guys haven't done it yet, do it because I felt incredible afterward. And the fact that they both said that is interesting. So I'm working on my heart chakra.
You want to know a really funny fun fact?
Yeah.
So I was told from like a chanting teacher that in the West we pronounce it like chakra with an SH, but in Sanskrit that means cucumber. So when we say chakra, we're like, my cucumbers are out of whack. Oh, my heart cucumber, my root cucumber at the base of my spine. Yeah, it's kind of funny. So I'll emphasize the H sound.
We have to make a meme about that.
Right?
So the throat chakra, okay, perfect. So this, I feel like sometimes people struggle with, like Derek explained, excessive characteristics versus deficient characteristics. So excessive characteristics is difficulty being silent, talking inappropriately, excessive loudness, talking too much, stuttering, gossiping. I think that me, when I was a kid, I think that I had a lot of the excessive throat chakra because I was very outspoken. And then when I was a teenager, I think that it closed up for different experience that we have in our lives. So deficient characteristics, fear of speaking, difficulty speaking, speaking weakly, excessive shyness, secretiveness, tone deafness. You can definitely see this in a lot of different people too. When they speak very quietly, when they're supposed to be giving a lecture and barely anyone can hear them. So maybe they're very shy or something. So these are qualities. It's nothing to be ashamed of, but it's something we can work on, right? If we need balance in that chakra.
For sure.
Yeah.
And people work on these chakras without even realizing it. Do you know what I mean? They do it by working on their public speaking skills or working on their shyness with a therapist or if their throat is sore, having like a nice tea. So it doesn't have to be through this metaphysical model. There's 1,000 different ways to get to the same place.
Yeah, good point. I was getting my astrology chart read by Santos Bonacci. If you guys ever heard of him, he's incredible. He's gonna be another guest speaker of ours. And he has like 150,000 to 200,000 subscribers on YouTube. I've been following him for 13 years. He speaks 8 different languages. He lives in Mexico right now from Australia. But he talks about astrotheology, and he was doing my birth chart, and he was talking to me about 4 specific karmas that I brought with me here. One of them was community. Another one was, I don't remember all of them. But anyway, I said, oh gosh, I'm really concerned. I really want to work on these. He's like, you already are. you're already working on them. Like you can see that in everything you're doing, because when you're conscious and you become more spiritually aligned, you start to work on these karmas or whatever you guys want to call it, just being a good person anyway. So you're putting in the work, unless you completely aren't aligned with your higher mind at all, and the ego is taken over. Then you're not really doing a lot. But anyway, so hopefully that makes sense. So supporting oils, basil, that would be renewing, black pepper releasing, cilantro releasing control, ginger empowerment, frankincense encourages truth, lavender communication. I've had to work on not feeling like I need to control the situation when I have a client consult. I kind of just ask them more questions and listen. But sometimes when you feel like you're trying to save someone's life, you become kind of more aggressive. Like, we have to go on a protocol. We have to do this now. And so I always had that sort of motivation. But now I'm being much more, giving them room, because what happens when you push, there's going to be resistance. That's in anything, right? So we want to be more open to giving people their space, and make sure it comes from the heart and listening to people. So I've been on that path myself. Third eye, I believe this is the last one, right? No,
No, second to last. Third eye, or ajna. I know it looks like a dark blue here, but we typically see it as violet. Deficient characteristics, can't see alternatives. Wow, that was really well said. Good job, doTERRA. I couldn't have said it better myself. Excessive skepticism, again, spot on. Lack of imagination, difficulty visualizing, insensitivity, and denial. And I'll invite you not to get too hung up on the details. I am intuitive, but I usually get it through my body and through hearing, and sometimes, visually, but I do struggle a little more with visualization meditation, just because that's it. I can do it, but it isn't what I'm the best at. So just know that if one of these things, if you're not perfect in one of them, you're fine. It's okay.
Exactly.
Now, excessive characteristics, obsessions, nightmares, hallucinations, obtrusive memories, excessive fantasizing, and difficulty concentrating. What does that say?
Yes.
Oh, yay. I was so intuitive, I got it, even though I couldn't see it. Thank you, third eye. So yeah, it deals with intuition, but also perception, your outlook too.
Okay.
Okay, so these are all great recommendations. You have sandalwood, which is divine devotion. I can totally see how that fits here. Clary sage, vision and clarity. Yes. Juniper berry, wholeness. We have rosemary for knowledge. By the way, rosemary is one of my favorite scents. If anyone ever wants to get me anything, please get me rosemary. We have lemon for focus and uplifting. And we have Melissa for dispelling darkness. So I'll also add that the color of this chakra is purple. So any purple food or oil would work too. Just how the throat chakra, the color is blue. Anything that's blue would work too, like blueberries, for instance.
Blue tansy, which was free this month.
Yeah, look at that.
Juniper berry. I will say Melissa oil is one of our most expensive oils, but it used to be 135 and now it's 115, and you can use your rewards points for it. But Melissa is amazing. They've used it for nervousness and anxiety and depression in the Middle East, and they've been using it for hundreds of years for that. And this is 50 times stronger than the leaf. So, and it's also good for killing herpes simplex 1 and 2. So look up its anti-pathogen properties. But we do post a lot about Melissa and many of the other oils. But I like to post the science. I'm a very science person. If it's not proven by science, then to me it's like hocus pocus, which, spirituality is a magic of itself. But, I just like to have a little bit of data explaining why this stuff is really good for different things. And it's pretty incredible. So, crown chakra. Okay. I think I was spending a lot of time on my crown chakra and ignoring the others. I made that mistake in the past where I just I want to be enlightened and forget about the body or anything, but that's not, this is a human experience we're having. We have to focus on all parts of the chakras. So excessive characteristics versus deficient characteristics of the crown chakra. Disassociation, this is excessive. Disassociation from body, spiritual addiction, that's interesting. Spiritual addiction, over intellectualizing, excessive attachments, and confusion. Let me just mention something because there's one person in particular that I'm aware of, and he's super cool, such a great guy. And I'm not going to mention names or anything. He's not even on our groups, but I met him at a cafe, and he's seems like that over intellectualization and spiritual addiction. And what I mean by that, it's I don't think that you can be like too spiritual necessarily, but when you forget that you have a body and that you're experiencing Earth and that you have to honor that too, you know, like that this is the body. There's an ego that gets attached to the body, and you're just you know basically you're temporarily borrowing the body from the Earth to see what it's like to experience this realm. So anyway, I guess the whole point is don't ignore that experience, and then just because some people are like they wish that they could just leave the Earth and stop this life and go to the other side. And you know, this is just my belief. I know everyone's different, but I believe that there's a contract that we make, and we really can't regret the life we were leading, because this is what we're here for, you know. So deficient characteristics, rigid belief systems, spiritual cynicism, learning difficulties, closed-minded, and apathy. So is there anything you'd like to touch on with that, Derek?
I would love to. I was actually just going to ask. Thank you. So my mom used to work for this guy who's very religious, and you know it's great because there's so much like awesome teaching in religion, and he had such a like close connection to God, which is awesome. But it would go to the point of like, I just can't wait to die. I can't wait to die. He's smiling. Oh yeah, I just cannot wait to die and go to heaven. Universe, I don't mean this. I'm teaching. Cool.
Yeah.
And right, just in case. And you know, it's kind of creepy. Like, why would you say that? And the kind of excitement toward death, it misses the whole point, the whole experience here. And spiritual contract or not, we get to enjoy the lives that we have and the connections that we have. And if we're so quick to throw it away, it shows that we don't value it. We don't value our things or our relationships or our learning accomplishments.
Yeah.
And I come from the understanding that divinity, like, it's immanent, which means it's also within each and every one of us and within bodies and matter, all living things. And I feel like if we actually see nature and the forces of nature as intelligent and universal forces, we're less quick to have these excessive characteristics and be like, well, the world's all shit anyway, time to go to the divine.
Right.
We're in many respects, right? I'm sure we've all known the spiritual bypasser, the person who's like, well, if you just manifested, if you were happy all the time, you wouldn't be this stressed. Excessive characteristics. Pretending to be perfect and spiritual doesn't make you perfect and spiritual. It is a work, and oftentimes it can be messy and imperfect. So keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm. One last thing to mention, though. I feel like especially now when people are starting to uncover a lot of the scary stuff about the world, they and I see this happen all the time, they want to leave it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with not having a fear of death and knowing that you're going somewhere. That's based on faith too, and that's awesome too. I find comfort in that. But to be in a hurry to leave, well, you know, like Derek said, we are here for a reason. So like, don't squander it. Like, we have to experience, and we should be experiencing it fully. Jessica, I hate to put you on but do you have any questions or anything? I just don't want you to feel like you can't say anything. You're welcome to speak.
Oh, I'm good.
Okay.
No, I'm good. And appreciate it.
Yeah. If you have any questions, just let us know. So that being said, so these are the oils that we would use for supporting oils for the crown chakra. This would be you, Derek, right?
Sure. So sandalwood, sacred devotion, totally makes sense. Sandalwood's a very like mystical herb. Zendicrine for transition, wintergreen for surrender, frankincense to connect to divinity. Frankincense is great. Purify and Melissa. Yeah.
Yeah, those are really good ones.
White deals with this too, so
I will say, you guys, it makes sense they would say Zendicrine, because I feel like with the crown chakra and the eye, those two in particular need a lot of detox, because the third eye is your pineal gland, And when the pineal gland is calcified, usually because people are eating so much toxins and junk foods and, you know, fluoride filled water, all these things that people don't know to not eat or consume, they need detox to decalcify the pineal gland so they're more connected to the spiritual realm. And you can use the oils for that. So a note on oils, you want to make sure, as usual, that you're using safety protocol, that you're using proper dosage, that, you know, there are specific oils for each chakra that you can use along with crystals. And then you can switch it up a little bit. I mean, there's nothing wrong with using an oil for each chakra all in one roller ball and stuff. They all raise a different vibration. But again, keep it natural and completely 100% pure. I don't have to tell you guys that, you know, doTERRA, I've done a lot of research on essential oil companies, and I won't use another oil company at this point. I'm sure there are other ones that are good out there, but until they can prove to me through third-party testing and publishing their papers, I'm using doTERRA for the long haul. So yeah, that being said about oils, just make sure you're always using pure. And energy follows thought. So maybe you can touch on that a little bit, Derek.
Sure. So with the chakras, they both reflect and direct energy.
Mm-hmm.
And what creates this energy, or where can we find it? We can find it in thought, in emotion. It's also behind motivations and physical activities. So the sum of these things, what we eat too, they affect not only how we live, but how we feel. It affects us on an energetic level.
Mm-hmm.
So sure, it's great that we do practical things to bring practical solutions to our problems. And it's also relevant to work on the energetic as well.
Yeah,
sometimes the energetic connects to the practical.
And remember, you guys, thoughts have a frequency. Everything in the universe has a frequency. And when we're thinking negative thoughts, that's a frequency. And when we're thinking positive thoughts, that's a frequency. And, you know, when we're emotional about different things. So really, it's important to raise the vibration and try to stay in a positive environment. Granted, stress and all these other things are part of life as well. But it's how we react to the situation. And we are creating our reality every day based on our thoughts. So make sure that your thoughts, for the most part, try to stay away from worrying too much. And I will tell you that it's going to be incredible for you to start using oils as tools while you meditate on your chakras, because then you won't react as negatively to circumstance, which is unavoidable. Circumstance happens. Eventually, you're going to get stuck in a traffic jam. And the people that are not aligned are the ones who are going to freak out and have a panic attack. And then, or maybe they get stressed out very easily. And those who are a little more at peace and aligned with their chakras in situations like that, which is just adversity. It's the only thing absolute in nature really is adversity. We're not going to have as tough a time. So hopefully that aligns with you. Thank you guys so much for coming to the class. If anyone has any questions, now's the time to ask. You can always comment wherever, you know, we posted this, whether it's on the Facebook groups or on a few other platforms that we're going to go on. But does anyone have any questions? Jessica? Derek? You good? All right. So this ends our class. You guys are awesome. Sending you both love and light, brother and sister. And come and get me if you need anything, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye, everyone.
Bye.